you guys for joining our Firewise virtual office hours. As you guys know, we're hosting these once a month on the third Wednesday of the month and focusing on basically the administrative side of applying for and renewing your Firewise good standing, as well as just answering questions generally about being a Firewise community within a Truckee Fire Protection District. A couple of highlights are our featured topics for the next couple of months. Next month in July, we're going to focus on risk assessments. In August, we're going to focus on action plan updates. And for September, October, and November, we're going to be focused on renewals, navigating the portal, and hopefully getting everybody approved for their renewals on the first pass through. I also want to highlight one of our partner events. Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition is hosting a community-wide education and outreach event. We're going to talk some more about that. And actually, Heather, one of your co-resident leaders and one of the co-organizers for this event just joined us. So when we get around to talking about outreach events, maybe Heather can pipe in with a couple of promotional words for her program.
Sounds good.
Awesome. As you guys all know, my name is Maria Marsh. I am a wildfire prevention specialist with Truckee Fire, and I'm sort of the de facto Firewise coordinator for you guys, even though that is it's a unique position for our fire district to be navigating. So we appreciate your guys' patience with us as we serve as the regional coordinator, and also your understanding and feedback as we develop and figure out how we can best support you guys. The primary topic for today that I'm going to talk about is planning ahead for your renewals, and a couple, basically like a reminder of what you are responsible for organizing within your community that will help you be prepared for what you need to submit with your application in renewal season. I don't plan to spend the whole time doing a presentation, so I'll go through my slides pretty quickly, and then if you guys have questions or about the topic or about really anything, then we can have just open conversation. So super high level, in the renewal application, you guys are submitting a couple of different things, basic updates about the community, but then you're also submitting the information that you've compiled on risk reduction investments and vegetation removal. You are conducting an educational outreach event, and I'm going to talk about some resources for both of those things. And then the document updates, which some of you have due this year, either an action plan renewal or a risk assessment renewal. So on the due every year thing, some quick tips. This is pulled straight from our Truckee Fire Firewise admin website. As you guys know, you're responsible for tracking in the community 1 hour per dwelling of risk reduction activities. So I'm going to jump to the website. Julia, give me a thumbs up if you can see the website now instead of the presentation. Okay, perfect. So this is where, oh, I can't hear you, Julia, even though you're unmuted.
Yeah. Use the level.
Can't see the website? Okay, let me switch what I'm sharing then. Now can we see the website? Okay, I got a thumbs up from Jim.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Do you see me scrolling?
I thought that would be important.
Okay, great. So chuckyfire.org/firewise. If you guys ask me any questions, I'm going to say, have you checked the website that I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into building this year? On the website, we have, on the left-hand side, you have a link to the Leader Hub. This is where you guys are going to find all of the resources that I'm talking about today. And hopefully a lot of what you need for, you know, doing action plans, figuring out your renewals, that sort of thing. So in the center of the page, there are steps to becoming Firewise communities, which you guys know there's a lot of overlap between what you do the first year and then what you're due for each renewals. Lower on the page, I have a couple of sections of links broken up by the particular document and guide. So I'm going to jump ahead here to risk reduction activities. So you guys are responsible for recording and reporting what your neighbors are doing in terms of their time and expense investments in these risk reduction activities. And what counts as a risk reduction activity is, I think, nearly anything you could imagine that is supportive of Firewise and the Firewise goals. So if you click on the NFPA time and expense investment examples, it'll open up their sheet that gives examples of everything. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see better that all of your time related to coordinating meetings and, you know, sitting down with me or with Dylan Sheedy, our forester, the time that your residents are spending attending trainings that you're presenting, the time that they're spending doing any of the work that they're encouraged to do. If they do a walk around with a defensible space inspector, that's all time that they can log as risk reduction activities. And when they are actually doing those things that we recommended, the home hardening projects, raking their pine needles, all of those things can also be counted as risk reduction activities. The other thing that you're recording is the amount of vegetation that's removed. You guys all have this, you know, down to a science, I know, so I don't need to go into detail about that with you. What I want to share with you, because I'm not sure how all of you are collecting that information, is an example Google form, which a couple of our communities are now using. And they have made it so that we can basically, we haven't actually done it yet, but in theory, if another community wants to use this, we can duplicate it, and then you become the owner of the form, and then you can use it to collect this information within your community. What they did is created an online form that captures, you know, all the contact information from the resident, and then it has a couple of different questions based on how you enter it into your application. So in theory, it makes it super easy for you to compile everything that your neighbors are submitting to you, and then basically just copy and paste the total numbers into the application. So if any of you are interested in, you know, using this format, let me know and we'll sort of beta test how easy it is to copy it over for you to use. But I know there are still communities where someone is filling out, you know, by paper their hours and then someone is tallying it, which if that works for you, you know, by all means, whatever process works for you. But this is something that a couple of communities have shared as a simpler way for them to collect that information.
Yes.
Let's go back to
Really good
my
experience.
presentation. Whoops, that's not what we want to do. Okay, we should be back on my presentation that says do every year compile and report. Is that what you guys are seeing? Yes, okay. starting to figure out how this whole thing works. So this is a screenshot of what I just showed you, of what is available on the website in terms of resources for you guys for that aspect of the renewal application. The other big thing for each year is an outreach event. This can be so many different things. Mary Buxton, the resident leader from Coyote Run, just joined us, and Mary did a Zoom meeting for her community and invited a speaker from the California Department of Insurance to talk about the challenges that people are having with insurance and the specific discounts associated with being in a Firewise community and doing mitigations around your home. So that's a great example of an educational or outreach event that you can do. People do a barbecue and have a speaker come and speak about maybe evacuation preparedness or defensible space at the event. What ERFWC, your Coalition of Local Firewise Communities, is doing this year is hosting a region-wide event that each of your individual Firewise communities can promote within your community and then use as your educational outreach event. So if you have, are having difficulties organizing or just not up for organizing an event within your community specific to your Firewise community, you can take advantage of ERFWC's event. They have made this image available as a PDF or image that you can circulate, advertise amongst your community, and then again, have your community members let you know if they attended, log the time that they spent at this event. If they volunteer to support the event, that can be logged as their risk reduction time as well. Heather, do you want to pipe in and give some info about the event?
Sure. So there are many sponsors. So there's a number of home hardening companies, windows, decking, there's defensible space content, and then there's many local forest resilience participants. So there's about 35 tables that have been committed. Some of our Firewise members are also going to present and make their stories and what they're doing in their community available for sharing and learning. And we have support from the FireSafe Nevada County Coalition and some of the programs that they're doing. So it's not just a great place to go and get information, but it's also to see what other communities are doing and get some new and great ideas that we can bring back to each of our community members.
Awesome. Excellent plug, Heather. That makes me want to go. I mean, I wanted to go already, but it's a great plug. So it's coming up pretty soon in a couple of weeks, July 9th.
Yeah.
So in the Firewise Focus email that I send out following up to after today's meeting, I'm going to include a link to the image so that you guys can circulate that amongst your community. And hopefully, if Heather can stand it, this will become a regular event, an annual event that Firewise communities can all take advantage of. If you are still wanting to do an event within your own community, which there's no reason you can't do, participate in the July 9th event and do your own, we encourage you to submit a request on the website for Truckee Fire to come and table. We're happy to come out to the event, answer people's questions, distribute information about Firewise, about defensible space, that sort of thing. And this year, our seasonal staff, including Sam, who we were just saying should be on a dentist's ad because his smile is just so wonderfully bright and appealing. They are creating reflective addressing signs upon request. So Mary got signs. I'm pretty sure at the Prosser Lakeview event, a lot of participants got signs. So the community events is a fantastic opportunity to get these going in your neighborhood. Sort of one person sees someone wandering around with it and they're like, oh, I want one of those. I can get it made in 5 minutes. For sure, I want that. Let me jump over to the website quickly again and show you on the main Firewise page. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see here the event request form, and this is where you can click through to the form to enter some information about the dates and particulars of your event and request that Truckee Fire be present. We have a big staff of seasonals this year, so we are able to do multiple events on one day, which in the past may have been a little more challenging for us. But so please feel free to submit your info there, and we'll be in touch to get some more details on what it is that that you're looking for and how we can support your event. Switch back over to my presentation, and Patty, you had a question.
Me okay?
Yes, now we can hear you.
I had a question regarding the, guessing this is something you guys added to the, because I didn't see it. We already had our evacuation meeting. So are we still eligible to get the reflect? So how do we go? Is it just, are we going to base it upon time and we provide you with the address? Can
So
it happen before not eligible?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, Patty, but I think I got the gist of your message. You guys held an outstanding evacuation event with an amazing amount of attendance, and we didn't we didn't do the reflective addressing station at that event. So let's talk about how we can organize it if you want us to be in the community to do it. The other way that people can get their signs is by scheduling a full access defensible space inspection. And then the inspector we literally have the kits in the back of our cars so they can make it upon request for that particular community member. But Patty, if you want to, organize something else when we're out in the community with the table making them and people swing by, or if you guys are planning a community work day, then we can do it on one of those events also. So we're happy to get these into the neighborhood. So we're happy to coordinate on what it looks like to make it possible.
Couldn't we?
Maria, would it make sense to add that activity to the July 9th event?
We will have to think about that given well, let's talk about it.
Okay.
But the signs are also available. So let me skip back to the website. Let me move this. On our website, Defensible Space Assistance Programs, we have information about the reflective address sign program and ways that people can get them. So we are doing them on a one-off basis when people request a full access defensible space inspection. We're also doing them at the community Firewise events, and then we're also doing them at some of the public in-person events that we're doing, like Truckee Thursdays. We always have a booth. We are going to be at one farmer's market a month. We'll be doing them there. And let's talk about what turnout we're expecting, because I do think we'd be able to hit a lot of people, but we have to make sure we have enough capacity to fulfill the requests. But it is a possibility that we do that at the July 9th event. Yes.
We could maybe just collect signups if we don't have capacity. It's just it seems pretty interesting. It's just an
Yeah.
idea. Take it offline.
Sure. Yeah. Brittany is fully versed on the program, so I think you guys have an upcoming meeting. So I'll mention to her that you guys want to chat about that. And Patty, did you have something else that you wanted to pipe in about? Sorry if we cut you off.
No, I was just wondering if people log their time that they attended our event, can't we just provide you with the addresses so that I can come down to the office and collect them and then them?
So first of all, it's not required that someone logs their time in order to get the reflective addressing sign. Those aren't like a one-to-one thing. Anyone that is a resident can request them. Let's talk separately about how we can facilitate and set that up. Okay, jumping back into our presentation, document updates. So action plans and risk assessments are the two documents that need to be updated on a recurring basis. And the way that it is represented on the portal can get a little confusing. So how I like to think about it is that the action plan is a forward-looking document. You're setting goals for the next 3 years. So the year that you're creating the action plan is like year 0. And then the subsequent years are year 1, 2, and 3. So if you submitted your action plan in 2024, then the plan itself is for 25 through 27. That means that you need to submit your next action plan in 2027 because that's going to be the action plan for 28, 29, 30. The risk assessment is a snapshot in a point of time. So if you completed it in 2024, it's good for 5 years. And it doesn't need to be completed again until 2029. So I know that can kind of get confusing because we're saying 5 years and 3 years, but you're actually kind of doing it on a 2 and 5 year cycle. But we'll talk about the best way to actually tell when you are due, because this should look familiar. This is what your portal looks like. The last updated date and the next risk assessment due is not always accurate. So you guys are the ones that have usually created the actual documents. So you guys should go based on the actual document that you've done and not if the portal is telling you something else. So how do you check that? For the risk assessment and the action plan, I would say just click into the actual documents and let's look at what that looks like. So my portal, I have 33 sites as opposed to the 1 that each of you have. Lucky me. And let's use, I actually thought we would use Pine Forest as an example. So on Pine Forest's dashboard, it tells me that their risk assessment was last updated in 2023. Therefore, according to the portal, their renewal is due in 2026. However, when we actually open their action plan, the action plan is for 2023, 2024, and 2025, which means that we need to complete and update a new action plan this year that is 4 years, 26, 27, 28. So you see how it can get a little bit off depending on when you actually upload the document into the portal. So best practice is to open your actual document and check there. Other best practice is to read the emails that the Firewise Regional Coordinator sends you, which I've done the dirty work and gone into each community's portal, and in some cases done a little research to find when the most recent document was submitted and completed. So you guys are here because you took a look at what I sent and either, do or do not have things open this year, excuse me, or due this year. But tips for, the universe, whoever is watching, is to check back on the email that I sent as to whether you have documents due this year. And here's our breakdown. Represented on the call today, Pine Forest, you guys are actually due for a risk assessment and an action plan, which is exciting. Let's see, we have Towel Mountain, who is not due for anything this year. Prosser, who is updating their action plan, and Coyote Run, who is a new community as of last year. So Mary's wiped her hands of the documents for a couple of years before she has to do any updates. So those of you that are on here, thank you for being proactive and thinking ahead and planning for these community things. Quick things about these document updates, since we're going to go more deeply into them on our July and August calls. But basically, for updating your action plan, where you really want to start is with your existing action plan. What has not been accomplished yet? What's still outstanding? What goals did you set that now that you're 3 years into it, you can sort of rethink how you might align or approach them differently? Remember, you are not penalized for not having completed something on your action plan. The goal is progress, not perfection. And there's always, room for adjusting and adapting according to what we're learning along the way. You can also review your existing risk assessment. The action plan should be speaking to the risks and hazards identified within your risk assessment. So use that as a baseline for determining what goals you want to set. If you are not already signed up for ERFWC's mailing list, you should sign up for that, because they are working closely with the Fire Safe Nevada County Coalition and hopefully bringing an in-person workshop up to our area with Firewise mentor leaders. So Firewise leaders who have been, running their resident leader program for a long time and have a lot of experience with writing these documents. They're hoping to bring an in-person workshop to actually sit down and work on action plan and risk assessment updates. So if you're not already signed up for ERFWC's mailing list, you should do that at their website, erfwc.org, and register for our Truckee Fire's August virtual office hours, where we're going to go more into depth on action plans, writing an action plan, CAL FIRE's particulars about what they're looking for, and that sort of thing. In the meantime, access all of the resources that we have on that Firewise Leader admin page, which I'm going to hop back over to here. We go back to Wildfire Prevention Firewise, and on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on Leader. Then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the action plan section. There's a new template, which is a fillable PDF, which should be a lot easier to use than what has been in the past. Fire Safe Nevada County Coalition has a new document on how to write an action plan, which has some great steps in it. And we have 2 sample action plans from communities within the Truckee Fire Protection District that had their action plans submitted and approved last year. So lots of resources on the website, truckeefire.org/firewise/admin. Jumping back to my presentation, risk assessment. Same sort of questions to ask yourself. Your updated risk assessment is going to carry over a lot of information from your existing risk assessment. So some of that you'll just be copying. Some of it you can be thinking about, what does the community have control over? What can you influence? What can be mitigated? What are concerns that have arisen in the last couple of years that maybe weren't there before? Is there new development? Is there a new land manager on a nearby parcel? That sort of thing. Again, sign up for Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition's mailing list and register for next month's Firewise virtual office hours. So July we'll be doing risk assessments, and August we'll be talking about action plans. And then again on the website, I'm going to jump back over to the website. We have a ton of links here. The required template for risk assessments, a great new guide from FireSafe Nevada County Coalition on how to write a risk assessment, an example risk assessment that was approved in the 2024 season, and NFPA's risk assessment training video. One thing to keep in mind for the risk assessments is that because Truckee Fire Protection District has the slightly unusual circumstance where the fire district is also the regional coordinator, you guys have the benefit of tapping into all of the information that we collect through our defensible space and home hardening inspections. So we help you develop the risk assessment rather than you having to do it entirely by yourself. So keep that in mind as you're checking out some of the resources from other areas where they might not have the same support from their fire district for completing the risk assessments. But some of that data is stuff that we can provide for you. So you don't have to go drive through the neighborhood counting the number of asphalt roofs. And that's it for the presentation. So basically just an overview. We'll go into more depth about the action plan and risk assessment documents in the July and August Firewise virtual office hours. And then in September, October, and November, we'll be focusing and answering questions about actual renewals, navigating the portal, and that sort of thing. So thank you guys for being sort of ahead of the curve and planning ahead. And with that, I'm going to turn off my slideshow. And Mary, go ahead and unmute yourself. It looks like you got a question.
Okay, I think that's it. Oh, thank you so much. This was super helpful. I had a couple of questions. One, is that red and white risk reduction page on the Truckee Fire website? Okay. Number two.
Yes, it's right here. So truckeefire.org/firewise/admin. You scroll down to risk reduction, and it's this document, the NFPA time and expense investment examples.
Okay, great. So then I had two more questions. Two is, does the Tahoe City Fire Department have the Measure T funds?
Great question. So the Measure T is a tax measure just for residents within the Truckee Fire Protection District. So it's only applied to the property taxes of people within our jurisdiction. So therefore, the community members that get the benefit of Measure T are those that pay into it. So it does not carry over to other Placer County fire districts.
Okay, last question. I love the idea of us being able to get one of those Google Forms, by copying and all that. And so I already wrote you an email about that, but is there any way, if you want us to do a Facebook page and or a web page or website? So I'm just thinking, if I don't get a volunteer, it'd be great if I still would need a volunteer to manage it. But it would be great if there could be like a template like this Google Forms thing. Just saying, that's it.
Yeah, that's a great point. We would love to have something like that for the communities that don't necessarily have a tech savvy person on their board that can basically create something that's plug and play for each Firewise community to have some sort of landing website. And I am hopeful that with some increased participation and activity with the Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition and some increased engagement from the FireSafe Nevada County Coalition. Sorry, it's a new acronym that I'm trying to remember. That there's some renewed opportunity for those options to be created. So I would continue to engage with those, with your fellow resident leaders, and hopefully we can get something moving in a direction that that would support that. There have also been some developments on the erfwc.org website, and it's possible that Linda Ferguson, who is sort of co-leading ERFWC with Darren Bew now, would consider building into the coalition site sites for Firewise communities that don't have their own websites. So thanks for all those questions, Mary. What other questions do you guys have? Yeah, Jim, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks. More of a point of clarification. So, regarding the mainly the risk assessment or 3-year action plan, I've logged into my my site and it says it's due in the 2026 renewal. Now I guess my question is that we generally renew in November. So, does that, I guess, is it due this November or November of 26? I guess
Yes,
it's November of
it can be
26.
it can be really confusing. I totally understand.
Yeah,
So we're looking at your portal page right now.
right.
And your action plan, right, it says due 2026 renewal. And just to be sure, I'm going to click into the action plan and confirm that your years, right, so your year 2 is 2025 and your year 3 is 2026. So the first year for your next action plan will be 2027. So you
Yeah,
should
okay.
write it and submit it in November of 2026. The
Okay.
way that I'm thinking to recommend to people to keep track of this is in the year 3 goals of your action plan,
It's gonna be
include,
due, right,
include
Right.
write the next action plan. So then you know
Yeah.
that in year 2026, you'll be writing your next action plan.
right. Yeah,
So
we updated that about a year ago or so. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then the risk assessment, I guess that would be the same time. November 26 is when that would be due.
correct. The risk assessment is, let's see, the challenge with the risk assessments is that the document doesn't capture a date on it.
Right,
So I'm going to pull up my cheat sheet here and jump to Towel
Mine.
Mountain.
Doesn't show anything, right?
So we completed your guys' risk assessment in 2021. So in year 2026, we can complete that
Right.
risk assessment. So yes,
So not this year,
we'll
but
do the
next
whole
year. Yeah.
package for you next year. Exactly.
Okay, good. All right, well, thanks. Yeah, the dates are a little funky yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
It's a little funky, but we figure it out together.
Yep, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. What other questions do you guys have? Yeah. Julia, we are still, at least I'm not able to hear you still. It shows that you are unmuted. If you want to type into the chat, you can type your question in there. Heather, if you want to pipe in while Julia is putting her question in the chat, go ahead.
So thanks for bringing up the pine forest. Lots of work to do this year. So I'll reach out independently to look at the risk assessment. But the question on the action plan that I have is there's a lot of focus on the minimal, and I'm wondering what you're seeing communities do to set those action plans, because it's very easy to complete the minimal requirements. And some communities do an awful lot more. And I'm just curious as to how they make decisions and gather the community around that to get that support.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, a couple of things. First of all is I would encourage you to, think big and proactively for your action plan. Like I said, you're not penalized for not meeting the goals that you set, but the idea is to work towards progress. Mary Buxton actually attended a webinar. I forget who it was hosted by, but it was about increasing community participation. Mary, was that helpful? And are there resources that you think we might circulate from that?
Yeah, it was very helpful. And a lot of it was Q&A. The guy's presentation didn't take that long. He was very good, and he had been like a community organizer before. So I did pick up several tips that I've implemented to try to increase engagement. And I cannot say that it's overwhelmingly successful, but it's the long haul. If you keep at it, you'll develop. I do think I got a lot of thank yous, even though not a lot of participation. So I do think people start to see the benefit and realize maybe they should join in. So I'll look it up. Let's see, what was it called? Community engagement. I'll look it up so I can give you the link, because they may do it again. I think it was Placer County.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Mary. Give me 1 second. Okay, Julia, you asked a very reasonable question. Our action plan is due this year. So this year, you're writing the action plan for 26, 27, 28. However, your risk assessment is going to be redone in 2027. Or is that right? 2027. Let's just check it quickly. Yeah, 2027 will update your risk assessment. You do not necessarily update your action plan at the same time, like, in response to updating the risk assessment. You can, and to be honest, I don't know what the original strategy was in how they set up the risk assessment and action plan templates, and the way that they are sort of misaligned. I'm sure there was some thoughtful process when Firewise was established many years ago, but it's all sort of, moving targets, and the goal is progress. So it doesn't have to be, perfectly one-to-one matching up. And, part of the action plan that you write now could be updating an action plan when the risk assessment comes out or something along those lines, but it's not necessary. So it could be that, you know, you sort of wrap up what you have planned with the 26 through 28 action plan. And then having all of the new information from the updated risk assessment, then sort of take a deep breath and draft the subsequent action plan. I'm going to give Julia a minute to type in her reply if you have another question, Julia. Okay, great question. If you do that, would the new action plan be a 2-year and then do a new 3-year action plan with the risk assessment? That makes sense to me. Unfortunately, CAL FIRE are the ones that review and approve the action plans. And they are looking for, you know, complete alignment with the template, which is looking for 3-year. So, you know, obviously we want the action plans to be thoughtful and progressive. At the same time, there's always room for change, and your sort of notes to self, what you're using to direct yourself through the motions within the community, that might be much more detailed than what you're putting in the action plan. And if what you do within the community, you know, starts to deviate from the submitted action plan, that's okay. CAL FIRE is not actually checking, you know, they're not auditing your community event to make sure that it's the same type of community event that you said it was going to be in the action plan. So, you know, put a general framework for what you want to do or what you intend to do in the action plan that you're submitting. And it's okay if then the actual, you know, boots on the ground actions end up going a different direction from that. That's fine. But great questions. Heather, you have another question? You've still got your hand up. Okay. Other questions from you guys? Other tips? Anybody have some other ideas? Actually, I might sort of call out Patty because she had a fantastic engagement at her recent community event. And I wonder if she has, Patty, if you have some tips to share with the rest of us for how you get engagement, how you encourage people to participate in your events, if you're interested in sharing.
Can you hear me? Yes, okay. It is, aside from putting it on the website and sending out email, it's talking to people. It is door to door, talking to people on the street, walking, not just me, other people. It's just word. That is what we're not really getting much engagement if it's just emails or contact, which takes a whole lot of time, pushes people outside of their comfort zone, namely me, just really outside my comfort zone. But that's the way that we're able to do it. And I will also say with our evacuation meeting, we also invited another Firewise community, Placer County, that is Ponderosa Ranchos, invited them. And then we also invited neighbors who are not in a Firewise community, but are in Placer County to also attend. So that's also got a few, probably maybe 5 to 10 people in that bucket right there. The rest of them were just the neighbors. And just comes to the face-to-face contact. That's what's having the engagement. Nothing else seems to be doing it. Is the fact, at least for.
Do you think that the message that you're saying and the content had an impact on your community? Because to get high engagement, something must have really resonated.
Well, where we live, we basically we're right up next to, the Sawtooth, Fire Road 6, but we're also in Placer County. And I've made this comment, it doesn't sound very positive, but it's the truth. We all feel like the forgotten children of Placer County because we don't get a lot of attention from them, although we are getting more attention. I'll be honest, we are getting their attention. And because of that, when we basically said that we were going to have Placer OAS, we're going to have CAL FIRE, that really made a difference. People wanted to talk to the Placer County folks. And then, of course, we had Truckee Fire was there. And to my surprise, we actually had the town of Truckee represented at the meeting, which I didn't know was going to happen until a few days before. And I sent that out to, hey, we even have town of Truckee showing up. So we basically, we're really trying to tell folks we have engagement from the agency. And I think that helped to bring folks out. So, I think that made a difference. If I had just said that, not to put anybody down in a negative way, if I would have just said, yeah, Truckee Fire will be here talking about evacuation, I don't know if that would have made the difference. I think because, as I said, we're unique in the sense that we are Placer County. The fact that we had Placer County present, and not just, anyone from Placer County. It was the OES. That made a difference. That got people there.
What I heard from a Placer County OES representative was that the chiefs said they wished they could get that kind of attendance at a regional meeting because it's obviously people are more engaged when something is happening in their backyard. And Patty did a great job of pulling together the different agencies. And just because her microphone was cutting out, I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that she said that if she was just relying on email or social media to get the word out, she would not have gotten that much engagement, but that it is actually having conversations with people, knocking on doors, and maybe going outside of your comfort zone to engage with neighbors that helped increase that engagement. And they included people outside of their immediate Firewise community, other neighborhoods and other neighbors that are impacted by the same unique area that they're in, where they're at the, right at the line between two county offices of emergency services. So that's super helpful. Thanks, Patty. Do any of the rest of you have ideas or tips for increasing engagement? Julia, we would love to hear from you. Julia also gets great turnout at her events. I don't know how she does it. They were a new Firewise community in 2022, I think. And they've had solid engagement at their community events as well. One option that I'll share is that Truckee Fire, as you guys know, does blanket inspections in each neighborhood on a 3-year cycle. And we, especially with newer Firewise communities that are just getting established, that want to get the word out, we are willing to work with you and potentially put, for example, staple a quarter leaflet to the door hanger that we leave on every single property about an upcoming Firewise event or about accessing the Firewise website or otherwise encouraging people to get engaged. Another tip that I would share. North Shore Donner Lake, which just became Firewise at the end of last year, they reached out to the utility provider for their community and got them to add language to the utility bill about becoming Firewise. So they really thought big, and it paid off. They were able to get engagement from the utility provider that helped them distribute information to a distribution list that they wouldn't have been able to access otherwise. So Julia just shared in the chat, we had a team of 8 people who delivered door hangers to every home in Prosser, Lakeview, and Woods. We did social media weekly for a month, emails, and even a letter to the Sierra Sun. We had hoped for more people, had about 50 turn out. I would love to figure out a way to get more involvement since our community is larger than Patty's. I will say that Patty did a lot of front end work, and Patty almost personally went door to door, meeting every single neighbor as she was establishing her Firewise community. So Patty did a lot of legwork to start things off. And I'm sure there's some, rule of attrition that the bigger you get, the harder it is to get engagement from the larger numbers. But it sounds like, Julia, like you are doing the good work also, of having people really getting out and engaging with their neighbors.
I think there's something to be said for people who feel like they're in a risky neighborhood. Pine Forest feels so close to downtown that it doesn't, and we've had the blessing of having a retired battalion chief as our Firewise leader. So everybody feels like they know it now. But the reality is that the information is actually changing a lot, and every year we're learning a lot more. And I'm having challenges getting people to engage. That's why I'm all ears for every technique, because we got to get them out. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always a challenge for sure. Well, you guys are all doing great work, and don't feel discouraged by the numbers, right? Because this is the point of Firewise, is the outreach and engagement. It's every new person that comes in is a great opportunity. Another thing you might consider is, especially if you're in an HOA that has control or has, knowledge of a new buyer, maybe there's some, welcome to the Firewise community information that's included in the welcome to the neighborhood packet. A lot of people that are coming to our area are aware that they're coming into a high fire hazard area. And Firewise communities are common in other areas of California in particular, but of the country. So you might get some, new and enthusiastic blood coming to the neighborhood. Mary, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Let's see.
You did it. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
I did look up the webinar, and I sent an email. It was from the Fire Safe Nevada County Coalition. And I sent them an email to see if they had a recording of the webinar or if they were going to do it again. And I also gave them your information. Whoops.
Oops, sorry, that's my fault. Thank you for doing that, Mary. I would recommend that you guys all sign up for mailing lists from a couple of different groups. Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition. I'm going to drop these all in the chat so you can jump to them quickly. Also, let me see where you sign up for their newsletter. Firewise, Fire Safe Nevada County Coalition is another one. They are sort of a reorganization of the coalition of fire safe communities that is already, established in Nevada County, but they have some new leaders supporting them and bringing some new ideas, and they have a ton of great events going on. And then another one is Placer County's Firewise program. Jackie Manning, some of you might know, is the primary Firewise coordinator with Placer County, and she does a fantastic job of curating their website, and they have a ton of events and speakers on a regular basis. So it's, more than I can turn around and distribute to you guys to encourage you to participate. So I recommend signing up for them directly so that you get those event announcements as soon as they come up. Julia has a great recommendation that if you have realtors in the neighborhood, they are a great resource. 2 of the realtors in Prosser make sure they let new homeowners know about the Firewise community and send their contact information so that they can connect with them. That's a great idea. Yeah, realtors in the community often have a finger on the pulse of what is going on, and they know the right people to share the information with. It's also a great in because a lot of times now realtors or insurance providers are asking if a new buyer is in a Firewise community because it is a potential discount on their insurance. So that's a great opportunity to say, here's a certificate for our community. Here's how you can get involved also. It's sort of a catch-22, because some of the focus has been moved away from the actual intention of the Firewise community, which is improving fire resilience. But if it gets people on the mailing list, then that's a start. And when people have the motivation to come around, they'll come around. It's okay if, most of the work is from the people that are already engaged. What other questions or comments do you guys have? Yeah, Mary, go ahead.
I think Heather was before me. Heather, do you still want to talk?
I'm good. Thank you.
You're good. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I just think this thing Julia's talking about is a gold mine. Could Firewise do like monthly talk or, like I'm sure the realtors here have some kind of gathering. Could Firewise just go talk to them so they know to promote Firewise when people buy houses and know that there are benefits?
That's a great idea. I think that would be a great opportunity for the Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition to, both directions, maybe ask if someone from the local organizing sort of board is the Tahoe Sierra Board of Realtors. And pretty much all of the realtors in the area are members of the Tahoe Sierra Board of Realtors. So I think that's a great idea. And especially as the Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition's website is getting built out, it can sort of be the landing page for realtors to go to figure out which Firewise community, the, you know, particular property that they're transacting on is in, and find the contact information.
And then they could tell people that, you know, if there's a possibility they could get 10% or whatever off on their, or at least not lose their insurance, you know, so. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good information to share, and it's a great point that the realtors definitely have the ear of a buyer as they're introducing them to a new community. So I think that's a great connection to make. Heather and Mary, you guys both have your hands up, but I think maybe it's left over from previous questions, comments.
I don't know how to put it down. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, thank you guys so much for participating. I will just remind you that the Eastern Regional Firewise Coalition is having their next meeting on July 1st. So they do it the first Tuesday of the month. And let me share my screen again just to show you where that is. So on our main Firewise page, when you scroll down the left-hand side, all of our upcoming meetings and events are here. And these are mostly the recurring events because I can't turn around fast enough to get the, you know, each of the interesting events that our partner agencies host. But Eastern Regional's events are here. And if you click into ERFWC's, it gives you the location. They're always held in Tahoe Donner now. Tahoe Donner has just, you know, given them that space to use on a recurring basis. They are also available via Zoom link, but I would strongly encourage you to attend in person. It's great for, you know, chatting with people and getting ideas, and it's always a little hard to be the fly on the wall attending remotely to a group of people that are talking to each other in person. So that's coming up on July 1st. And then don't forget about the Fire Ready Truckee Tahoe event on July 9th. And that information is on here also. Basically, though, I tell you to go to ERFWC's website to get more information about that. You guys know how to reach me, firewise@truckeefire.org, and it's nice to see your faces. Thanks for joining. Thanks for participating.